Friends, at this time we are going to begin services for Eilene Fischer. I would ask if anyone has a cell phone, if you'd take a moment now, please, to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. And officiating our services today is Rabbi Barry Schechter.
Mizmor David, Adonai, mi Yaakov yolecha, mi yishkon behar kodshecha, holech tamim, ofoel tzedek. ודובר אמת בלבבו, לא רגע ללשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רע, וחרפה לא נשא על קרובו, נפסה בין אב נמאס, ואת יראי אדוני יכבד, נשבע להרע ולא יאמיר, כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד הנקי לא לקח. עשה אלה לא ימות לעולם. God, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain, those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others, those who live in this way shall never be shaken. Dear friends, we're here for a sad and difficult occasion to say goodbye, which is one of the most difficult things we can ever do, to say goodbye to Eilene Fischer, the daughter of Louis and Betty, but also to honor her memory, to celebrate her life. We're here with the family, and I think we're being streamed, so other people, I want to welcome everyone here and those who are watching from afar. We have the family here, son Lloyd and his Cara, and of course I should also mention late son Michael, grandchildren Caitlin, Daniel, Carina, Misha, and Dylan, late sister Charlotte and her late husband Alan, and also I should mention Bert, the father of her children, to whom she was married, and the late Eugene, who was for many, many years a partner to her. I think I have everyone. And we're going to begin by hearing from the family. And so I'm going to call Lloyd to speak to us.
I wanted to thank everybody for coming today or participating on the live stream. For people who have been asking, it was rather sudden that she passed away. She passed away from a heart attack, which is surprisingly one of the many afflictions that she wasn't that she didn't manifest. And it looks like she passed doing something that she really liked, which was knitting. All of my kids have a number of her handicrafts, blankets and sweaters and things of that nature. All of my parents, my extended parents as well, had to deal with and endure the kind of curse of distance. So as many of you know, I've lived overseas for over 30 years now, and they've had more limited access to seeing their grandchildren and myself as well. And luckily and fortunately, now, in addition to Daniel, who already lives in the U.S., 3 of the kids live in the U.S. and have been able to spend a lot more time with both of their sets of grandparents. And in fact, all of them, thankfully, have been able to see her over the course of the last 4 months, 5 months, have been able to come in and stay with her for, a reasonably extended period of time. And I know that made her very happy. She hasn't been able to travel much recently, but she was able to come visit us out in Hong Kong previously. And while she may have been a bit of a traveler, she was fairly down to earth. And I think in addition to that, she wasn't a very adventurous eater. And I just wanted to remember one event that really sticks in my mind. So she had come to Hong Kong, and we had taken her to a traditional restaurant, and we were going to have prawns. Sorry for those who keep kosher, but yeah, we were having prawns. And there's a special way that they cook prawns in Hong Kong, where they bring them in a dish with a cover on it that has some alcohol in it, and they're actually alive, and they shake it and they're flipping around, and then they cook it at your table next to you, and that kind of put her a bit aside. And she happily ate, and afterward explained to me that she never knew that prawns actually had heads. So she wasn't sure what she was eating, because it didn't look anything like what we had when we were younger. As I said, she did have the ability to spend time with her kids and with us as well. We had been in recently about 3 months ago, and spent a couple of weeks, and we helped fix up her apartment, and I was able to speak to a number of her friends as well as other family, and she has been extremely happy in the last few months running around in her new place. But there's always a good side to things that happen, and it has allowed me the chance to speak to a number of people who have spent a lot of time with her. Because of being overseas, we haven't been in contact as much as you would if you were living across town. And I want to thank those people, the people that are here, but also the people that aren't, who were a big part of her life, and had called me to describe how they were so happy, what a funny, enjoyable, supportive friend or relative she had been over these years. Kind of an interesting thing that came out of the last few months is that while my kids were visiting and we were visiting, we realized that my mother had inadvertently allowed her driver's license to lapse, because we were worried that she wouldn't have her real ID, even though she probably wasn't going to be traveling very much. So 2 of my children came in and had taken her to pass, or taken her to take, hopefully pass, both the written and driving exam for Illinois. And by some miracle, she passed them all. So she still remained very active. I've actually tried over the past few years to convince her to go into a more assisted, a senior facility, not something that would just give her more social interaction, which she resisted like the plague, although progress was being made more recently. My parents raised my brother and I in what I would call a free-range way, which I think is probably common for many of the people my age here. You know, the doors opened in the morning, we went out and did our thing, we rode our bikes, we, you know, had our friends, and came back at night. We had always had a safe place to come to, you know, that is something I'll always remember, you know, in terms of how she and my father had raised us. I was told by somebody very wise that all you could really give your kids is a value system, some way to put life into those little cubby holes, and a moral system, and they can give you good memories, home life, holidays. Beyond that, they'll never learn from your mistakes. They'll make their own. And you know, I just want to thank her and my father for raising two boys, two somewhat rambunctious boys, and you know, which allowed us to have and bring up families of our own as well.
Thank you, Lloyd. And now I think we're going to move to the next generation. So Daniel, if you'd like to come up.
Thank you. Some of you might remember me back from when I was shorter than the podium. And sorry if I don't always remember all of you right now, but I'm touched that you're able to make it out and share her memory with us. I did grow up here. I was very privileged to be able to grow up just a few miles north of where Nana lived. And that was until about the age of 6. I lived in Chicago, and her and Papi Jean picked me up often. They would take me on little day trips around town. They would find fun things to do with me. I remember Papi Jean always kept saltine crackers in his car for me, and I always loved eating them. Like, you know, little stuff you get, like a little hot bar with soup. I would devour them as soon as I got in the car, and then after he passed, Nana Eilene made sure that she also kept a few on hand because she knew how much I loved them. And yeah, I have quite a few memories of her taking me around town. Just around the corner, we were shopping for a yarmulke when I was young, and then I was asking her about the Skokie Swift because I saw this train go by that looked weird, and I didn't know what it was. So she was entertaining me with my fascinations about that. And she would take me to children's museums. She would take me to, one time, the Jelly Bean Factory up in Kenosha, I think, although it was actually a distribution center, but they still had a lot of fun stuff and like kind of like an all-you-can-eat section at the end, which was really nice. And she would also send me treats throughout college, just little boxes stuffed to the brim with all kinds of candy, M&Ms and Skittles and this and that. And me and my roommates would always just feast for, I think, a couple of weeks. It was enough to feed 3 college boys for a couple of weeks. That's how much candy she would send me. So I think the theme is that she really liked candy, or at least the thought of it. She always called me her sweet, and she always said something was a treat. I think, yeah, growing up here and being able to spend time with her, a lot of time with her, was definitely a treat. And she was always proud of me. She never, or at least she never showed it if she got frustrated at anything I did. I remember once when I was quite young, she was dropping me off, I think, back home after a day out, and she kissed me on the cheek with her lipstick, and it left a spot. So I immediately, like within a second, like started wiping it off, like right in front of her. So I hope she wasn't too annoyed at that. I still tell that story to my family and friends when something like that comes up. So, and yeah, I had a lot of competition here with accomplishments and such, but yeah, she was always very proud and happy to see me. And I'm glad I was able to visit her quite often. I would visit I still have family in Chicago up in Deerfield, so every time I came in to see them, I would also try to spend the time to grab dinner or lunch with Nana. And it was always wonderful being able to see her and catch her up and see how she was doing. So I realize now that she saw a lot of my father in me, which when I was young, it didn't really click, but now that I see that, I just hope that she's able to see him now as well. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. And now, Misha.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to commemorate and honor the life of our Nana Eilene. Sorry, give me a sec. I want to share a bit about what Nana was like from her long-distance grandkids. One of the first things you may notice about Nana is that she's a prolific and skilled crafter. She engaged in a wide variety of arts and crafts, from crochet to calligraphy and watercolor painting. What's most striking about her crafts is how she used them as a lens to view the world. She saved magazine clippings of flowers as inspiration, a testament to how she sought out art in everything and sought to express that beauty through her handiwork. As a long-distance grandmother, Nana Eilene really made the time that we could spend together in person count. And in the time between visits, made sure that we knew that she was thinking of us. Nana was so proud of her family and grandchildren and never hesitated to let us know it. Every milestone and life update and every photo we sent her, she'd always have glowing encouragement ready to go, and that meant a lot to me. Nana showed care down to the littlest of things. In my last visit with her, she all but insisted I bring a carton of lentil soup home with me on the plane, just to make sure I had a dinner ready for me when I arrived home. Though TSA liquid regulations eventually put a stop to that, her heartfelt concern always stuck with me. Nana, I want to address this part directly to you. I've lived across the world from you for so long, but now it seems that we're further apart than we've ever been. And yet, in your absence, I hope that the blankets you crocheted will be your arms to embrace me. The hats and scarves that you knitted will remind me to keep warm and take care of myself. Beyond any physical gift you've ever made me, I want you to know that the impact of your love stays with me wherever I go. I think of you as I clip and paste cards and stickers into my scrapbook journal. I think of you as I take the first bite out of a box of English toffee. I know Coralie was always your favorite. I think of you as I make a new ring, my hands methodically working the wire and pliers, just as yours once did, with yarn and needles, or brush and ink. I hope that through my hands, I can carry and cherish your spirit and memory. Nana, you inspire me to appreciate the beauty in the littlest things in life and on even the most ordinary of days, to create and to share love through those creations. I miss you, and I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Misha. And now, Caitlin.
I'm going to read two poems that remind me of our Nana Eilene. Death Sets a Thing Significant by Emily Dickinson. Death sets a thing significant. The eye had hurried by, accept a perished creature, and treat us tenderly. To ponder little workmanships, in crayon or in wool. With this was last her fingers did, industrial until the thimble weighed too heavy, the stitches stopped themselves, and then 'twas put among the dust upon the closet shelves. A book I have a friend gave, whose pencil here and there had notched the place that pleased him, at rest his fingers are. Now when I read not, for interrupting tears, obliterate the etchings, too costly for repairs. Warm Summer Sun by Mark Twain. Warm summer sun, shined kindly here. Warm southern wind, blow softly here. Green sod above, lie light, lie light. Good night, dear heart. Good night, good night. Yeah, I love you and I miss you, Nana.
Thank you, all of you, for those lovely words. You talked about how proud she was of you. If in some sense she's listening now, she's proud of you at this moment. I met with Lloyd and Cara the other day. We had a very, very nice discussion. You illuminated for me the person that was Eilene, whom I unfortunately never got to meet. You told me about growing up and going to originally she lived in Chicago and then Skokie and then Glenview, and both of you went to the Glenbrook schools, but you had your bar mitzvah in Northbrook at Beth Sholem, as did your late brother. You told me I'm telling you things in the order in which you told them to me. You said that people had said she was funny and easy to talk to, which is actually very nice. You know, these things trip off the tongue. The world we live in now is not such a friendly place. In some ways, it's a frightening place. And if you hear about someone who's funny, who can make us laugh, and who's easy to talk to, that is someone who is, in their own way, improving the world. You have memories, Lloyd, of growing up and hearing, I use the word advisedly, hearing her play mahjong, because you said to this day, right, if you go through a restaurant or they're playing, or some place where they're playing mahjong, and you hear the clicking tiles, you're taken back to your childhood and what your mother was doing as you were growing up. One of the things that gave her pleasure. There were friends. There was Sheila, whom she knew from high school, and Chin and Sandra. And you all talked about her gifts. I don't mean the presents. We'll come to that in a minute. Although I was very pleased, Daniel, to hear that she sent you these, was it health foods, these M&Ms to make? I know. She was thinking of your dental hygiene, you see. But she, the gifts, by gifts I mean talents, the talents that she had. The crocheting, the knitting, all these things that you still have. And you talked about them so touchingly, that you will have a wonderful tactile reminder, something you can touch and feel. But our calligraphy, you know, we're living in an era now where, in the sense of when we were growing up, it's true to say that some young people now, unfortunately, we would have said, cannot write. Which I mean, they're not teaching cursive anymore. In fact, my wife and I were in a hotel, and my wife, whose signature is very clear, she had to sign in, and the lady behind the counter, the very young lady, said, "Could you tell me what this says?" She could not read the letters joined together. And for your mother, for your grandmother, this was not just a required skill that you know how to write. It was an art form. It was something of beauty. It was a vehicle to create beauty, so that you looked at it and you would say to yourself, as we have a very, very rare opportunity to do now, you look, because you read something someone's written, and you say, "Isn't that beautiful? Look how beautiful that is." You have something of beauty there. In fact, as you told me, I was really amazed. Somehow she was she was working for someone, and through some of these progressions in life that we don't know, you're introduced to someone, you're working to someone, and it leads to something else. And in her case, it led for her addressing Christmas cards for President, as he then was, Jimmy Carter. She actually would address Christmas cards because she could write so beautifully. So the people who would receive these cards would look at them. There would be something, not just the card, but was written on the card. Something really, really beautiful. And that's really lovely. That's rare in many ways. In the way I spoke about before, that lots of people can't even do cursive, but that she transformed this into something which is really, really beautiful. There were friends that you told me about, friends and family. Jean and Eilene would visit Sheila and the late Mitch in Carlsbad, right near to San Diego. And Sheila's daughter, Alison, is Alison here? Yeah, there you are, Alison, nice to meet you. You would pick her up for family dinners. And she would be with you and your children. She was also very close to Andrea, the cousins, Andrea and Mitch. I was speaking to before, Terry and Kenny, to have meals with you. And you really enriched her life with those. And she enriched yours by being in your company. When I asked you about travel, we talked about travel, and you told me that she wasn't the ultimate traveler, but you did have memories of actually a trip out west. This is something that we would read about now. I mean, it was in a car. There were two families, I think. And in those days, people smoked in the car, so you had the benefit of growing up in a smoky car. You went to California, you saw the Grand Canyon, right? San Francisco, cowboy towns, you saw all these things. You have a memory of that, and that was several weeks of travel. And I remember when the three of us were talking, I asked you about travel, and you said, well, not really. But then you just popped out with that. You mentioned that, and I said, that's not a small thing. You remember it, you know. It's a memory for you. Lloyd, and Cara, the two of you would come to California, and she would come for a couple of weeks. You'd go for a week to Sheila in Carlsbad, and as you said just earlier this year, you came to visit and helped her in her apartment, and she was so grateful. I've meant to mention that she was a wonderful baker. You told me. Did you all eat? I know you had M&Ms. Did you have any of her baked? Even better than M&Ms, believe me. She made mandelbrot. I don't know if everyone knows what that is, and I don't know how to say it in English. Banana cake with chocolate chip. Yes. So these are all memories. She, when I asked you where she would go and eat with the cousins, she liked the place called Ali's Pancakes. Is this familiar to you? Yes. She also loved to walk. I learned some of these things by accident as we were talking. She loved to walk in the botanical gardens. And when she'd come and visit you in Hong Kong, which she did more than once, she loved to walk there. And you've already described her adventure with the prawns. I'm allowed to say that, I'm not allowed to eat it, but I'm allowed to say it, you understand that? So don't go and report me anywhere. The rabbi talked about prawns. So here you have someone who meant, as I could hear, even if I hadn't spoken to you before, when I was hearing you speaking, how much she meant to you. So you would come in, you'd make a point of seeing her. As you said, this is a very Jewish family. Scattered. We're a scattered people. All over the world, and nonetheless, you would make a point of coming to see her, and how much she meant to you, and how much you meant to her. You talked about how proud she was, and how happy she was about you, and you're really blessed. When we grow up, we think whatever we have, everyone has. Whatever we don't have, no one has. So you grow up, if you have a grandparent or grandparents, you think, well, everyone has grandparents. Well, in a technical sense, everyone had grandparents. Presumably they may not know them. I, for example, had three grandparents. I knew one of them who was way past any possibility of communicating with her. So I essentially had no grandparents, realistically speaking. You were blessed. You're blessed to have grandparents. It's such a blessing. Not everyone has grandparents. I'll go further. Some people may have grandparents, and the grandparents may not be part of their lives. So quite apart from the person she was, the lovely person who meant so much to you, just to have someone like that, it's a blessing. As life goes on, you're suffering with the loss, the grief. But as you go on, you will realize what an incredible blessing it was to have your nana, to have your grandmother, to have someone like that. Someone who would give you soup because she wanted you to have something, when you got home. The airlines, of course, as they do, interfered and made it not possible. But the thought was there, the heart was there, the love was there, and that's what you'll always remember. You'll always remember the lentil soup I couldn't eat, but she wanted me to have it. These are wonderful things. These are wonderful memories. As I said at the beginning, it's a difficult world we're living in now. We have to treasure every good person that we know, whether they are still physically with us or whether they are gone. Because sometimes in the world we're living in, we can despair of humanity. And so we have to hold up anyone like that. It's a lovely human being, in this case, a lovely Jewish woman. But whoever it is, take them. Put them in your mind. let them lift your spirits in the world that we live in. Let her lift your spirits, even now after she's gone. I have to say, especially now after she's gone. And try and learn from her, whatever there is to learn from her. And there's something to learn from everyone. You know, when we make our prayers, you know, after we eat, we make the Birkat Hamazon, so the benching, the blessings we say. And there's a prayer in there that we make. If our parents are present, we make a prayer for our parents. So, in Hebrew, my father is Avi, and my mother is Imi. Avi, Imi. But in our prayers, we say something extra. We say, Avi, Mori, my father, my teacher. Imi, Morati, my mother, my teacher. That's what parents should be. That's what grandparents should be. We have to learn from them, either by their instruction, they tell us do this, don't do this, or by example. We see that they care for us, they encourage us, they love us, they want to see us, they feel proud and happy because of us. That's also teaching. And we should want to emulate that as much as we can in our own lives, so that the life they led, in a sense, doesn't end when they are gone physically. Because if we start doing good things and not doing bad things because of them, then they go on. So take whatever you can from this life, and may her memory be a blessing. And of her I say, Tehei nishmata tzurura b'tzror hachayim, may her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. And to her I say, Eilene, in Hebrew, Lech b'shalom, in Yiddish, geh in Frieden, in Hebrew, go in peace. Hab a lechtigen Gan Eden, may your repose be in paradise. Amen. And now we're going to read the 23rd Psalm. If you have these, do you all have these little folders? If you would open them, please. On the left side at the top, the 23rd Psalm. Would you read with me, please? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Together. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Lloyd, did she give you a ribbon? No, okay, we'll do it later. All right, could I ask you, if you can, to rise, please, to stand. If it's difficult for you to stand, then please stay seated. El male rachamim, shochein bamromim, hametzei menucha nechona, tachat kanefei hashechina, b'ma'alot kedoshim utorim, kizohar harakia masirim, et nishmat Eilene bat Louis ubeti she'alecha le'olama bavor she'anachnu nadrim litzdaka be'ad azkarat nishmata Began Eden Tehei menuchata Acheine balarachamim, yastireha besete knafav leolamim. Vitzror achaim et nishmata. Adonai unachalata. ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Eilene Fischer, the daughter of Louis and Betty, who has entered eternity and in whose memory we offer charity. May her repose be in paradise. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. And we'll conclude our prayers now with the Mourner's Kaddish, which is on the back page here. It's in Hebrew letters at the top and in English letters, and this is for those who are in mourning, and we can all join in. If you can, please do join in. If not, you can respond. One of the responses is very, very simple. When I say Ve'imru, you say Amen. This happens a few times. Ve'imru, Amen. Ve'imru is actually the Hebrew for and say. It's an invitation for people to agree, as it were, to say what you are saying is true. So, let's begin. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei. Ve'yamlich malchutei. B'chayei chon uvyomei chon. Uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv va'imru, everyone, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei de kudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da miran be'alma v'imru, together, Amen. Yehei shlama rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. That last verse contains the word shalom. You know what shalom means? Peace. Shalom is peace, which we badly need. Oseh shalom bimromav, it says. He who makes peace above, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. May he make peace here below, aleinu, among us, between us. But I'd also like to think within us, because when we suffer a loss, we do not have peace within us. We have the turmoil. It's difficult. I hope and pray that in the time to come you'll find some measure of shalom, some measure of peace in your hearts. Amen.
You can be seated for a moment. Friends, this concludes this portion of the service here at the chapel. The interment will be private. The family would like to invite all funeral attendees to join them for Shiva meal following the service today at Taboon Grill, which is 8808 Grosse Point Road here in Skokie. So again, everyone who has joined us today, you are more than welcome to attend. At this time, we are going to take a moment of silence, stand together as the family departs the chapel, and you are welcome to depart afterwards. Thank you.